even if the committee said, well,
Correct.
let's have park and we're in line but not chosen, we're still doing MCAS.
Right.
Correct.
That's a good
Especially
point.
if Boston goes to park, there may not be room for us.
I think there'll be
a whole
room.
lot of students.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I wouldn't think there's not a seat at the table when they,
It's a Lugganay.
but we'll never know, but.
Yeah.
So, so shall we then have a motion to, we could do it affirmatively, to either keep MCAS or to go to park? We should have a motion in one way or the other.
Make a motion that we keep MCAS, I guess we'll start with that.
We have a second?
I'd second it.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Nay?
Was that any abstentions?
Nay.
Nay. So 3 aye, 2 nay, we keep MCAS.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll pull it, I didn't change our position. We both support, a test that deals with the Common Core. Because the Smarter, Balance, and the Park are both testing the Common Core and MCASs.
Okay, next topic is graduation day.
Yes. So last time we met, there was a lot of discussion, spirited discussion, about the graduation, to have it in town or not have it in town, and have it on that.
Having it feel like a talk show forum, and they found it really beneficial. And then the second layer that the parents were organized, that were responsible for organizing, that was wonderful, was then folks adjourned to the library, and current parents of last year were able to interact with senior parents from last year to say, who had just finished the process, because we have the night in February, who were saying, it'll be fine, this was our experience. So that they came from a whole broad cross-section of folks and different interest levels. Folks who were interested in Ivy Leagues, folks who wanted to play college athletics, So it was great. And so the thing we wanted to add to it this year is that when the parents go to the library to meet with other parents, the students will stay in the auditorium and have a student panel. So as I have conversations and I have one-on-one meetings with students, current seniors, and they tell me a tidbit or a discovery they've made, I've been saying to them, consider yourselves, on the docket, because that's something our, next year's crop needs to hear. Whether it's about visiting schools, whether it's about taking good notes or following up with people. So that was a really, it was a nice event, it was an added benefit, and the CEF is going to follow up October 7th with a social kind of meet and greet at a local home to encourage this year's senior parents to, again, come back and meet with parents of graduates to talk about where we are now, to hopefully reduce folks' stress levels and answer questions that, of course, they can find answers to by going online, but it's much more beneficial to be able to have a personal interaction with somebody. So we're working to, again, strengthen those programs as we go along, but last year certainly was a tremendous improvement. And things we've added are the college essay workshop, which I've asked Jason McCabe to spearhead, and he did a great job last year, but the invitation is put out to all of the faculty to come and be a reader. Students are asked to come to the library on a particular afternoon. They receive an appointment to bring several.
Exposed and look at our profile and meet with us and we talk about it. So that gives us, those are opportunities that give us a chance to talk about Cohasset, or promote Cohasset in that way that I don't think existed before.
Right, and we sat down 2.5 years ago and generated a list among the four of us, the three of us and Brian Scott. We generated a list of schools that we thought we should be, with whom we ought to be interacting. And then we reached out to them to say, we would love to invite you in, we'll create the space and the opportunity for you to meet with kids, give us a shot. And or, the other thing we're going to start doing is we know that there are schools who don't fit us into the rotation, and it might be because they have such a large candidate pool that our small student body isn't really as attractive to them in terms of their recruiting efforts. So we're going to be networking with some area schools, and when we know that somebody has a visit coming, if we thought that Hingham had a visit coming from someone, we would say, do you mind if we send a couple of our kids over? If it was a school that we thought somebody really was hankering after, and we didn't have the opportunity. So individually, we're able to kind of put people in touch with folks. And I've, we've worked on establishing our own alumni database. The 2013 and 14 kids have been great about helping me start to build the spreadsheet. Rob Bonnell has promised me that we're going to have an alumni database that will, once it exists, we'll be able to pull in the community piece that Dr. Lee references so that we know who in the town. And, in the meantime, I'm using my high school alumni directory to reach out to people who don't know Karen McConnelly, but they know they graduated 5 years ahead or behind me, to see if we can't, network that way.
Given our small size, I'd like to jump back to the college visits and the college admission process. And I know that you obviously belong to a group of principals that meet on a regular basis, and I'm sure that the guidance department does also. And we had actually discussed in a previous meeting the possibility to maybe work collaboratively with other school districts that are in the area. I had asked previously if we ever had a college fair before you were here, and I was told no, it wasn't worthwhile for us because nobody wanted to come here because we were so small. But I was thinking if we had some kind of a collaboration with, say, Hingham and Norwell and Situate and Duxbury and Cohasset, maybe we could have a worthwhile college fair that would make sense for our students.
It would be a great idea.
Yep. So one of the things that, and I participated in regional college fairs at other schools and in other districts, both as a teacher and administrator. And what I discover is that most of the schools that will send a representative to that fair are the very schools who will come and have the small meetings with us. But we have certainly looked into advertising to kids, potentially. In fact, we were just discussing yesterday the huge college fair in Boston in the spring.
And there's one at Regis also that I've been to.
And so, many years ago, I used to say to students, as a teacher, go home and tell your parents that you need to take Friday off and that you need to get together a dozen of you, hop on the commuter rail and get into town and explore, the opportunities. I've worked in other places where we do field trips to the college fair, and I don't think that our kids need that, but I think we just need to make sure that families are aware of the dates and when it's coming, because we do create a lot of opportunity. There isn't a great deal of personal interaction at those massive college fairs, but it can open the doors to the name of a school you never heard of before that who knows could be the perfect fit. Right. And so for that reason, we'll make sure that students are, I think it's April 8th and 9th this year, but we'll make sure that kids know, and if they need some, encouragement to get a group of kids together to take the tea in for the day, I think that we certainly want to put as many things as possible on the radar without folks feeling overwhelmed.
Just a quick comment / question. I've been in the school system for some time, and the improvements are fabulous, really great. Like anything, communicating these, especially to the parent population,
That was my next comment.
is really crucial to this, because I think the kids are involved, and I'll talk to my senior and I'll be like, look, have you done such and such? I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, we do that at school. I'm like, okay, but here we all are.
Talk to me.
So whether it's on, something on Blackboard Connect or your weekly newsletter or anything like that, because some parents don't even know, as much as it's their child's decision, they can come make an appointment and sit down and talk to one of you for 10 minutes and say, is there anything I could be doing on my end or something like that? Just opening that up a little bit.
So one of the things that we're going to do at the parent coffee next Thursday, which by the way, for public record, will be replicated a following week because it does fall during Rosh Hashanah, and I apologize for the scheduling of that, but we will have a duplicate event 2 weeks after that, and we'll make sure that we widely publicize that date. But the grade 12 parent coffee next week, we'll make sure that we have, grade 12 tomorrow. So we have, we'll make sure that we have some of these handouts for parents have, the information that the kids will have, but also, just today, he sent me a 2-page inset for our newsletter, so that the guidance is going to have a regular update in there. The version that I got today has all of the testing dates for the year, for the SAT and the ACT and things like that. So they've committed to kind of writing a regular update on what's been going on, what were the conversations, so point well taken.
That's very good.
It's much more comprehensive, like one-stop shop
Right.
kind of thing, and so hopefully it will address. And we did, it may be secondary, but Kevin last year set up a Twitter account, which actually put a lot of really
that's great.
interesting articles, we tweet out articles, and we'll do reminders. We realize that doesn't work for everyone, but it is sort of a quick and easy way to access not just Cohasset stuff, but interesting articles about, whatever, social illustrator or college process or anything like that. So we're trying to get the word out about people checking it out.
Okay. And so I'm sorry, you said that the grade 12 coffee will do another date besides tomorrow morning, or is that
No,
for the
it's
other
not
one?
tomorrow, my mistake.
That
So
was the
it's,
grade 9.
yeah, it's
Grade
grade 9
nine, okay, thank
coffee
you.
that's next week, I apologize.
Okay.
On things like the college visits, I had no idea college reps came here. Is that on that sheet that you've given her?
It is, yes. Yep.
Okay.
We've highlighted it and we've noted the process and
students register through Naviance, which is the college planning software, so students all get an email, there's a schedule in there, that's how they sign up.
But again,
Yep, and
parents don't know.
parents have Naviance accounts too. Yep. So parents are, we'll
I
get,
didn't know about it. Okay.
so one of the things we did last year, a couple times in the newsletter, and Nancy Creighton sent out a letter saying that if parents don't have a Naviance log-on account, that they can contact Nancy Creighton at any time, and we even printed up little kind of business card shaped things to hand out for the junior parents last year, but we've been putting it out there a couple of different times because we know that everyone has 1,000 different log-ons, but yes, so you could do a little investigating of your own. So
No,
we'll make
I
sure you're
did,
able to do
and
that.
it didn't work. And I think
Oh.
you told me just use Michaela's. But it's nothing that gives automatic,
So-
information.
It should work. I mean, you can call, if you want, you call me tomorrow. I
Okay, so I
can
did
just,
follow up, now that you say that, I did, and you said just use Michaela's.
I might have said
But
that.
the emails
I
go to
know
her,
you
they don't
said
go to
that.
me.
He says-
I can't recall what it said, to be honest with you.
We
but-
do have a lot of parents that do just announce, it's the same exact.
I know, but the announcements,
information.
parents won't know, because it's going to the kids. in
Right,
the
you want your own
emails.
email address, yeah.
Right.
So if I'm, yeah, right. So my screen looks different from a student, so I'll ask a question that maybe will help parents too. When a kid logs on, where is the announcement in the calendar page? Because I know how I look up the college visits, but where does the student see that?
So it's like right at the top of the screen, it just says like CA, college rep visits, click here to register. It's pretty, it's easy. Yeah,
Yeah.
once you familiarize yourself,
Pretty
it's
straightforward.
fairly straightforward for the most part, yeah. And then just click on register. We haven't had any issues with it.
But I'll double check with you as well, 'cause I'm curious.
Okay,
Um,
yeah.
I'd like to concur with Mrs. McGoldrick. I think I've had 2 kids in 4 years with Mrs. Struzieri going to college, and it was great with Johnny, who was going in one direction, and with Stephen it was even better. And Naviance is a great tool, and everything I say to parents of seniors now is like, you have to take charge of the process with your kid, because it's their future, it's your money, and you have to take charge. You can't sit back and be a bystander and use the school resources as resources. The other thing I'd like to comment on is in both college processes with my kids, every school wants to know what you want to study. At 18, what do you want to do? What do you want to be? And I think they're looking at slots and majors, so they know if they want to accept you or not. And a couple of years ago when I was on school council, we brought up the idea of a career fair. We used to have it here a long time ago in the 70s, and I think kids don't know what's out there, what kind of careers. And there's so many, just within our community, very professionals of all types that would talk to kids and say, this is how I got to where I am, or I fell into it, or I knew from whatever age that this is what I wanted to be. And I think if that is
Potential new initiatives, and I think we said that we might want to set up a subcommittee to explore really just the whole notion of who is our peer group, who do we measure ourselves against. In some circumstances, we might want to measure ourselves against schools of our same size. In others, we might want to measure ourselves against schools that are located geographically near us. In others, it might be schools that we think we're competing for new kindergarten families from, people moving from Boston or from this various, cities out to the suburbs, if you will. So we thought it would be a good idea to start looking at that, who are our peers, why, when, under what circumstances. And this speaks right to it, who are we comparing ourselves in the rankings and why. So I guess now might be the right time. Do we want to establish a subcommittee, like we talked about still? And if so, who might want to be on it among our team?
I think it's interesting that it's 10 p.m. at night. Can we table it?
Well, if we table it, it goes away.
It'll take
not
30
table,
seconds. You don't want to be on it.
No, I'm
You wanna-
interested. I'm
Okay.
interested,
Cool.
but
Is it-
I just don't want to.
No, do 2 or 3 people want to be on it? I don't know anybody else would be. I'd be on it with you if you want. And
So what is the subcommittee again?
to examine
Then I just volunteer.
the peer group and
Districts.
who are we wanting to compare ourselves against, to benchmark ourselves against under what circumstances,
Well,
why,
I don't think it should
everything we
just
talked
be
about to the
members of
tree.
the school board, I think.
Initially though, subcommittee to
Yeah.
start establishing what we should do, then we could bring in public, you know, everybody that we wanted.
I wanna
but
think
we need
about
to
it.
spearhead it. So do you wanna think about being on it or not being on it?
I just wanna think about the whole idea.
Okay, so what I'm suggesting is do we wanna establish a subcommittee? Because what we said, we didn't wanna make this go on too far down the road because we wanted to act on it quickly so we could have this be relevant this year.
I will be on the subcommittee with you.
Do you wanna be on it?
Yes,
Okay.
I'd love to.
So do you don't wanna be, or do you want?
Oh, I'll join it.
All
I
right,
have one
come
more
on
thing.
over. All right. So
I'll bring two.
so that's good, that's good.
Quorum.
That was
I'll bring-
quorum.
now we
That's-
can't.
Oh, now we
No,
can't.
it's now a
So two
quorum
of them-
if you
two of
have.
them
Oh, you can only have
Yeah.
two.
Two,
yeah.
So
Two and an
why don't,
alternate?
no,
Okay.
why don't you two be on it, because next year I'm done with the school board, so you should have somebody to continue it.
Okay.
Cause
We
I'm
can
getting
consult
old
with
and
you
gray.
with your
This is my
statistical.
6th year, can't you see
No,
my hair?
statistical
Right.
All right, so we'll establish a subcommittee to examine our
Yeah, the two of
peer
you.
group, Mary and I,
Yep.
and we'll consult with you as needed, of course,
Yeah.
on statistics
Oh,
and
I
the rest
assure
of
you
the
I'll
team.
give you my opinion.
Yes. All right,
And Mrs.
good.
Demus will tell you what our,
We're established, so that's
our
good.
our cohort is. Our cohort.
Our cohort.
The next item, and hopefully final, this lengthy discussion, will be superintendent goals.
Yes, so I sent you all a set of goals via email on Friday, and then I gave you hard copies today, as I said I would. Good night, Mrs. Conley, thank
Good
you.
night, thank you. Good night.
See you at the coffee tomorrow morning.
And so basically what it did is trying to follow the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education in terms of setting SMART goals as they have taught us, and I tried to set a student learning goal and then a professional practice goal. And then what I had talked about, I know I spoke to you, Paul, about this year and how I've worked my practice, and what I'm doing is that every single week on Monday, usually, we as a central office meet, and we have our set of goals, and the central office saw these goals as well as the committee. But we have a meeting that runs about an hour and a half every Monday as a catch-up, which sets the tone. We go through what everybody is doing, and it allows me to oversee what has to happen in the district. Then every other week, I have a meeting with the leadership team, which consists of all the principals and the central office, and then we bring any other parties in that we need to as part of the discussions, of which we oversee what's happening in the schools. And we work together collaboratively to look at curriculum, look at the finances, look at special education, look at whatever has to happen, facilities, whatever the need is, as we're entering budget, that will become a critical thing. And then I go and work with the principals every other week. We sit and we meet for an hour and talk about their goals, talk about what's happening in the building, and talk about how I can assist in the buildings, assist with them, talk about the evaluation tool, how we can oversee the learning. And so based on the fact it starts at the top, but it grows, and it's not just my goals, it's really how we're all working together this current year to bring the practice around and make it a cleaner process.
These two goals, I get it, you specified it, they're strong goals, but I would add at least one more that we talked about previously, and that is the emotional and physical health of the students here. I appreciate you being involved in the Safe Harbor initiative, but we've already lost 2 alumni in Cohasset to overdose, and I was exploring the situation. They just got, the town of Situate, working with the superintendent, got over a $600,000 grant to work with the schools, particularly the schools, in outreach in drug and especially opiate, but other drugs, alcohol, marijuana, and other educational programs that's going throughout the grade levels, in particular 6 through 12. And I think I know it's an epidemic proportion in our state and on the South Shore. And I would hope that you could add that as a goal to deal with that situation, as well as other, health concerns. But I think this one really shouts out as it's being a real big problem, and it's a big problem for Cohasset right now, as well as other South Shore towns. Losing 2 alumni in just a short period of time, and plus the number of, Chris Murphy was talking, at the conference, and other people about the number of ODs we've had. in Cohasset, it's been very frightening. So that's my concern, that we add something like that. And I do appreciate you're already, you know, on the Cohasset Coalition called Safe Harbors. But and it's not just that one area in health, there's other areas too. We talked about stress, you know, the American Psychological Association identified that for students in high school and college, stress-related issues are becoming also a big, huge problem, especially in high-performing towns that are, according to Boston Magazine, in the top 20, according to other magazines in the top 12 or 15 or whatever. But it is also a big problem. You know, my colleagues, I don't purposely see anybody in Cohasset, but my colleagues who are from Newton in my office see a lot of people from the South Shore, particularly Cohasset and situated here, and it's becoming more of an issue. So, you know, the stress of all of the things we're talking about, high performance, things like that. So I just want to go dealing with those health related issues. And the only way to coordinate is through your office, because otherwise it doesn't get done. It needs to be district-wide, especially when it comes to the drug stuff.
Right. I agree with Dr. Lee that I would like to see more goals. It's stunning to me that each year there are less goals on the list. Last year there were 3, the year before that I believe there were 5, this year there were 2 that seem to be weighted heavily, the first one in particular, on work that the Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum and Instruction will do. They don't seem to me to be your goals in particular.
They are my goals. They really are. She assists me, but they are my goals, and I'm going to be emphatic about that. Those are my goals.
Well, I want to know how we're going to measure these goals. I'd also like to know how they align with the strategic plan, and because I can't get on the internet to look at the strategic plan and bring it up,
Glad to help you.
it never works. And I came in last week for Mr. Bunnell to hook me up, and he said, you know, we should probably try and have a repeater in here during meetings so that we can get on. But I figured it was set, so I didn't bother to ask for that. I have to say I'm a little disappointed.
And I have to say, I'm very disappointed that you're disappointed, Mrs. Estino. There are 7 benchmarks, and there are 5. That's 12 goals, essentially, that I put out there under 2 categories. That's more than I've ever had. I've never had so many benchmarks that I have to meet under goals until this year, and that to me is 12, and that's an awful lot.
Well, we'll agree to disagree.
I have no problem with these goals. I think they're important and strong. I just would add the one about what
That's
you're
fine.
already doing.
No, that's fine.
So you could get credit for it too. Because it's, you know, the superintendent's been sitting on a committee for the opiate situation on the South Shore, in particular, the one for Cohasset. It's called Safe Harbors. I think we decided on the name title.
Is there something in particular that you want to see that that's not being addressed here? Because I think we need, if we're going to object to the format and the goals, we need to kind of offer a solution or some guidance.
I don't think that anyone will object, but other than me.
Well, no, I guess that the question is there something specific that's missing?
As I
Other
said,
than
I
you
would like
mentioned
to,
emotion.
I would like to see how it aligns with the strategic plan,
How,
which I can't bring up on my iPad right now.
okay.
Okay, so I would like to do a compare and contrast. As you know, there have been a couple of weighty issues this week in the district that we didn't receive information on until kind of last minute. So I was concentrating more on that than on this.
Okay, so.
Trying to keep caught up on things that we didn't have until.
I have a question. Was there a problem getting on earlier tonight or yesterday?
I have not been able to get on since I came in this room.
No, but prior to the meeting, were you able
Yes.
to access the
Well,
goals and access
oh,
the
not from
strategic plan?
home, but always
Does it-
from here.
No, but prior to the meeting, were you able to access it and review it?
I read the goals, yes, but I did
Okay.
not
But you didn't,
call up
did you
the
review
strategic plan.
Did you review the strategic plan prior to tonight?
when we first saw it, but we've not discussed it since.
So it's fair to say maybe, and I don't know how this, what the action timeline is, but you might need a little more time to evaluate the strategic plan against these goals.
Yes.
You obviously circulated the goals earlier, and we appreciate that. If Jean needs a little more time, I think we should give it to her. And is there any reason that these need to be finalized tonight, or could they be pushed to the next meeting?
My contract would allow that.
Okay, there's a fair reason. So they need to, so by contract, they have to have these done by.
Before October 1st.
Before October
We
1st.
can do them on October 1st.
You can do them on October, you would be okay with that,
Yeah.
all right. So to bridge the gap here, I might suggest that if you, Jean, could come in with some concrete suggestions about what might be missing, if anything, after you've had a chance to review the strategic plan more thoroughly, that might be productive.
Sure.
And then, we can have a discussion if you feel like.
We're still waiting to hear on our kindergarten grant about the approval, and that should be coming any day now.
Or has a K control,
Huh? As you know, we always forecast, and we've already started that for this year. Seeing where we're gonna be at the end of the year. It's always fun to do, and fun to know where we are. But, we'll talk more about that as time goes on, but, right now, I think, we're in good shape, because the year just started. You won't see any, posting of salaries from the teachers yet on this report, because their first pay was posted for September, the beginning of September, so, the next report will show more of that as we go along.
The usual maximum gas bill that we get, when does that hit? Is it the month of February?
That's like, about February for January, February, and March. Those 3 months are pretty big, yeah. So we've locked in this year, starting in November. I forget what the date is, but from November through October of 2016, we'll be locked in.
Great.
So that'll help us with our forecasting.
Well, it's forecasting.
Yeah.
It's going to be more expensive than the forecasting.
Any other questions at all?
An easy start.
So it's an easy end.
Yes.
The next item on the finance is the FY16 school committee budget calendar. You all should have that in your packets. And this, the calendar is really similar timeline than what we've done in the past, in previous years and so forth. And we're asking the school committee
To approve the calendar. Okay.
I just thought it would come up.
I just have the calendar. Here's it. Oh, thank you. Do you mind? Oh, is it in here?
Yeah, it's in here.
That
It's
was
that one
really-
little piece of paper
I
and the
saw it.
back.
Sorry.
What's that?
Oh, well, this is.
You're several now.
This is false light. All right, good. So do we have I guess really, it's self-explanatory, it was in there, so, the timing works with the town budget calendar, and it's all synchronized. So we probably just want a motion to approve the Cohasset Public Schools budget calendar for year FY 2016.
Can I just ask one question before we do that? Put a motion on the floor. In terms of comparing this to last year's calendar, are the dates identical? Are they moved up a little bit?
Well, it depends on, they're close. There may be 1 or 2 days difference before or after, depending on where the days fall.
Okay.
You know what I mean? If one of these dates fell on a weekend, we would,
Or vacation day.
or vacation, we would adjust it to where it was last year.
No, it's not.
And certainly last year, the budget process was a little bit.
It was delayed, but partially
Delayed.
just because of the town manager getting up to
Right.
speed
Yes.
and all of those meetings.
So
I
we
think
had
that was
to-
largely,
Yeah, we had it was a similar outline from
I
last
mean,
year, but it was
we
delayed.
try to stick to it as close as we
yeah,
can.
so,
but,
no, we can do our job, but,
Yeah. Well,
well,
sometimes you need.
gotta meet
The
with other people
Yeah,
too.
it was-
The one difference is I don't think we had the town meeting on the calendar last year, we do
I don't
this
think
year.
it was scheduled
Yeah, it wasn't
last year.
scheduled last year, we already know
This
the town
week, we
meeting is
know
May
what the
second,
town meeting is.
so take note of that.
That's the last
At the
one.
very last thing.
Yeah,
That's
I
right.
saw
Yeah.
that, and in terms of special town meeting, which you had put out a notice to us about last month, I think. Is it important
not
that
in
that
here.
date be on there, or
No,
no?
it doesn't impact
Okay.
us
Doesn't
for
impact
this
us.
budget.
And when is, the town elections, like for a new school board member?
May 6th,
Isn't it the
maybe?
weekend after?
It's the
town
weekend
meeting?
after the town
Town
meeting.
meeting, yeah.
So it would be the 9th. Well, town meeting, it depends if, it's almost always on the second, right? So,
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
So I would think it'd be the next weekend.
Next
Okay.
one usually is.
don't get too excited.
No,
I know.
It's a long ways
It's
away.
scheduled, is it?
A lot of work to do for that.
Yeah, I don't think it's been scheduled yet, though.
What?
I don't think it's been scheduled yet.
So the first time we'll hear about it, sounds like January 7th is the first
Oh, the committee,
presentation
right,
to
you're right,
us.
yes,
Okay.
yeah.
I'm just like to get more sleep.
Okay.
That'll be our first presentation, an overview usually.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Are we in a position to have a
Yeah.
motion?
I make a motion to approve the budget calendar for FY 2016.
I'll second it.
No.
2016.
All in
Fast, huh?
I know, right?
Like fast.
Scary.
Very
All
scary.
in favor?
Huh?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Dave. It's
Thank you.
approved. Great. And any communications from anyone?
I'll just do a real quick one, because it's very late. I wasn't able to attend the entire meeting, but there was a, coffee yesterday for the CPAC group, which Barbara was at as well, and just wanted to say I was really impressed, not only with Mary Buchanan, but with the new team chairs, and also with your address as well. It was a great group that attended here, and it's some really nice things that I think are gonna happen, so that was terrific.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
I was at the advisory committee, there's, I believe, gonna be 16 warrant articles for the special town meeting. Some of them housekeeping, some of them are petitions to do with the Elder Affairs building, and some are disposition of money, so that's not been decided. Overall, for the year, I believe it's 1.455 million in free cash that's available for special town meeting.
Great. And that free cash gets deployed, what's ever left over, back to capital.
It'll be at special town meeting, depending how it's allocated. How it's allocated, exactly. I think that after last year, putting most of it into allocated funds, I suspect they'll probably do the same thing. They were talking about 2% holdback for free cash, but it doesn't necessarily need to be done. It can be done all into capital or funds that will be easily accessible.
Great. Anything else? Okay. Topics not reasonably anticipated in advance.
Oh, John Smith Day, I heard was really great.
Oh,
I
exciting.
unfortunately couldn't go because my daughter had some medical issues, but she's okay. But anyway, I heard from Howie that it went great and other people.
Nice.
And John Smith did land, you know, again, 400 years later. And if you want to check the pavilion, it's really nice.
yeah, they did a beautiful job.
Beautiful
Yes,
work.
it's really, really nice. And the schools contributed quite a bit of work, and that was very appreciated. It was a really nice town, you know, school collaboration, town gown type of event.
Excellent. So there's no other business tonight, and we can conclude the meeting if we have a motion to conclude.
I'll make a motion to adjourn at 10:20.
And I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
David, I was spacing out.
Thanks for staying
yeah,
so late, everyone.
David, I was spacing out, so the difference between this is only the circuit breaker.
Just the circuit breaker.
And why didn't it get included?
We didn't update
Because
the
when
original
we
sheet.
did the strategic
Oh,
plan,
And that's no problem. So that's the only thing.
That's the only thing.
In the budget, you're just beginning to spend money.
Right, right. Well, July and August are usually the slower
Yeah.
months, you know, until it gets
No
back
problem.
and
and
it
it may be like 2 weeks
Okay,
apart.
that sounds
We
good.
want to look at.
I'm sorry?
Easy to do.